Kamala and Trump will be facing off for their first presidential debate, and it's a classic matchup between an elderly conservative blowhard who's into conspiracy theories and a middle-aged liberal woman that might have a secret drinking problem. I think it's a matchup that will really resonate with Americans. They are used to seeing these two personality types arguing at family gatherings and ruining holiday dinners. Now, they will get to see these two argue on national TV and watch them ruin the nation. What's great about debates is that it forces the candidates to confront each other. It's easy to stand on a podium at a rally and serve up yappuccinos about what a great president you'll be. But standing toe-to-toe with your political rival and debating the issue shows what you're really made of. But in my opinion, 3 presidential debates isn't enough, which is why I'm proposing that the presidential candidates should have to compete in more challenges that test their abilities as president. For example, when they go to Florida, they should have to convince a Florida man who's on parole to not smoke bath salts and wrestle an alligator. If you can convince a Florida man not to violate his parole, you can convince Putin to end the war in Ukraine. When the candidates are in Alabama, they should have to convince a racist father that it's okay for his daughter to date a black guy. I don't want to hear a speech about how you're going to unify this nation if you can't even convince a good old boy to let his daughter date a SoundCloud rapper. Every candidate talks about getting rid of the homeless problem and cleaning up the streets. Let's see you actually do it. I want to see Kamala and Trump in San Francisco in a contest to see who can clean up the most human feces in 24 hours. I want to see both candidates out in the streets, avoiding used needles and tweaking meth heads while they compete to see who can pick up the most poo. And every main quest can have fun little side quests. While Trump and Harris aren't as stuff picking up homeless doo-doo for bonus points, they should have to convince someone's non-binary roommate that doing the dishes and paying the rent on time isn't ableist. It's just being a good roommate. In our current yap-based election system, politicians make speeches, then the pundits and media twist their words to fit the narrative du jour. They end up making the waters so muddy that average Americans have no idea what's going on. But if the candidates are at the border in a contest to see who can put the most kids in cages, the numbers don't lie. The person who locks up less kids fell short. They didn't get the job done. Instead of just talking at debates, there should also be physical challenges. For starters, both candidates should do a 4-yard sprint. I want to see what these candidates look like when they're running. I don't want to vote for a candidate that runs like a sissy. I also want to see these candidates lift weights. I don't want to vote for a man who can't bench 135 for reps, 95 pounds for Kamala. If you don't have this baseline level of strength, frankly, you aren't fit to run the world's strongest military. I bet you our enemies can bench 135. Putin is a judo black belt. He can definitely push some weight. Xi Jinping looks like he has some old man strength hidden behind that suit. According to state media, Kim Jong-un can rep 1,000 pounds. And with every rep, wildlife appears to witness his feats of strength, and when he finishes his last rep, a rainbow appears to celebrate the glorious leader's strength. We need to show the world that our leaders are strong in body and mind. And after the last debate, the election cycle should climax with both the candidates putting on some leotards and facing off in an American Gladiator-style contest against the former presidents. Let's have Trump and Kamala go head-to-head against Obama to see who can execute the most effective drone strike. They should have to square off against George Bush to see who can come up with better fake intelligence to drum up another forever war for shareholder value. Obviously, to make this contest fair, Bush will be wearing an earpiece and Dick Cheney will be telling him what to do. They should have to compete against Bill Clinton to see who is better at deflecting sexual misconduct allegations. With Biden, he obviously isn't mentally fit enough to engage in any sort of competition. So in order to show us how these candidates deal with the elderly, we should have both Trump and Kamala compete to see who can tuck Biden in the fastest. Personally, I would love to see Trump spoon-feed Biden a bowl of ice cream, read him a bedtime story, and then give him a kiss on the forehead before tucking him in at night. These candidates love to use speeches and the media to carefully craft an image of themselves. The only way we're going to be able to cut through the noise is to have these guys out in the streets competing. The election cycle doesn't need more speeches filled with empty promises. We need to see these candidates in action. This year will mark the 23rd anniversary of 9/11, and one of the biggest tragedies that no one talks about is that it's been 23 years since those towers fell, and we still don't get a day off of work. What do we need to do to get a day off? Everyone's always saying never forget. Well, I happen to do my best remembering when I don't have to go to work on Monday. Put a beer in my hand and some steaks on the grill, and I remember things real well. Put me on a lazy river with a White Claw in my hand and my memory of my high school art teacher rolling out the TV to watch those towers implode become sharp as a tack. The pain I feel in my liver after a savage 3-day bender in Vegas will serve as a reminder of the pain our nation felt after tragedy struck at home. Everyone's always asking, what happened to Tower 7? What did the CIA know? Was this an inside job? The question you should be asking is, why do I have to work at my job? Some of you might be saying, Cyrus, you're being rude and disrespectful. And to that I say, the highest honor you can get in this country is a 3-day weekend and a mattress sale. You get that, you're up there with the presidents. President's Day, veterans, Veterans Day, dead veterans, Memorial Day. Labor gets a 3-day weekend. At least half the people watching these videos have no idea what Labor Day is for. How are you gonna look me in the eyes and tell me that labor deserves a 3-day weekend over 9/11? I will not rest until the brave men and women who were lost that day get to be honored with a federal holiday and deep discounts that rival a going out of business sale. Bin Laden might be dead, but until I can go to a mattress store on a Monday afternoon in September and get a matching mattress and box spring combo for 20 to 50% off with 0% APR financing for qualified buyers, the terrorists have won. I'm Cyrus Naderpour, and this has been the Cyrus News Network. If you like what you see and want to support the channel, please subscribe and share. If you want even more content, follow me on IG and TikTok at The Cyrus Show. You can also check out my other podcast, The Franklin Cyrus Pod, the Cyrus News Network. We're not the fake news you need. We're the fake news you deserve.